Hey there, Jordan Chariton, live Status Coup. It is Wednesday, January 26th, 2022. Hope everybody's having an okay morning so far. I'm going live a little bit early today on the breaking news that Nina Turner, former Ohio state senator, former co-chair of Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign, that she has announced this morning that she is running for Congress in Cleveland, in the Ohio, the greater Cleveland area for the second time. So I'll wait till a couple more people come in. Smash that like button right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this. I wanted to go live on this early because I won't be able to go live later. There will be a lot of opinions on Nina running for Congress for the second time, but I wanted to kind of give you my thoughts and also kind of give you some context for why this time for her might be a little bit different. So for those of you that remember, she ran for Congress in a special election in August. So she ran last year. It was a special election in August in Ohio's 11th district. Now, the special election was created because Marcia Fudge, who was the longtime Democratic congresswoman that represented the Ohio's 11th district, she had been appointed by President Biden to run the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So it created an opening for that seat, and that was in August. Now, I was on the ground covering the election about a week before the election. August, not an ideal time for any, not just Nina Turner, but any candidate running for office. Not a huge voter turnout in Nina's race. If we could put up the results, there was actually just about a 16% voter turnout for this race in the beginning of August. Nina Turner officially she lost by 4,266 votes to Shontel Brown, who is now the congresswoman representing this district. So basically, in the dead of summer, there was a special election. Nina Turner lost by a little over 4,000 votes. Shontel Brown was sworn in, I believe, a couple months ago. So essentially, as of now, it will be a rematch. I want to be clear, because of gerrymandering and redistricting, the district might be different. The district might look different on a map and might have different sections, part of the district that Nina Turner ends up running. In her campaign announcement, let me just read her campaign's email announcing this, to be specific. Her campaign announcement said, though the congressional maps are not final, Turner is more committed to serving her hometown and will mount a campaign to represent the newly redistricted Cleveland-based seat. So more than likely, she still will be running against Congresswoman Shontel Brown, but the actual district might look different because of redistricting. So before we get to does she have a shot, I want to play her campaign announcement video that they put on her Twitter, that she tweeted out this morning.
America is at a crossroads, wrestling between two futures. Do we sacrifice the poor, the working poor, and the barely middle class to protect the ultra-wealthy? Or do we treat our people as America's greatest asset and ensure everyone has a real chance to live a good life? Families are struggling with higher gas and food prices, stagnant wages, and shrinking benefits, while corporations make record profits. These are unprecedented times. Our leaders can't settle for just enough. They must fight for what we deserve. I'm Nina Turner, and I'm running for Congress because we deserve a voice for change in Washington. A leader who is on the side of the people, not out for the powerful or out for themselves. A leader who understands that healthcare has been denied to millions of Americans for far too long and will fight for Medicare for all. A leader who knows poverty is a policy choice and the minimum wage must be raised to a living wage. Who won't take a dime from special interest PACs or do their bidding. You deserve a leader who is from here, who knows what it's like to grow up and live their life in this community, who has stood up for reproductive justice and served on the front lines of the fight for criminal justice reform and voting rights, not for days, but for decades. A member of Congress that stands shoulder to shoulder with leaders like Bernie Sanders, unapologetically to fight for working people and speak truth to power. And here's the truth. Greater Cleveland needs a change maker, not someone who just go along to get along. We can put an agenda through Congress that puts working families first, and that's worth fighting for. Something you can feel: good union jobs, expanded health care, child care, and climate justice. Winning the battle against Republicans and the holdouts in our party will only happen when we put it all on the line for everyday people. An America as good as its promise is worth fighting for. Our children are worth fighting for. Our future is worth fighting for.
So that was her campaign video. So I want to make a couple things clear, because I think there was, I think some people who just are kind of like, oh, if she's running as a Democrat, I'm done with her. Not that, you know, I understand their frustration with the Democratic Party. Trust me, I'm frustrated too. But before we get to whether she might have a better chance this time, again, she had lost last time by a little over 4,000 votes in a special election in August when there was only 16% voter turnout. Again, 16% voter turnout. She lost by 4,000 votes. I want to make a few things clear and give you some history and context for this district. Again, the district might look different, but I just want to give you context for Ohio's 11th district, where she lost by a little over 4,000 votes in August. Colin, if you could put up. So this was the district represented by Marcia Fudge for a very long time. Marcia Fudge, in November of 2020, this is the general election. It's won by 60 points. It is a vote. It is a Democratic Party district. So I understand people are fed up with the Democratic Party, but I'm just going to present you reality on this particular area and what the numbers are. And you could say I don't care, but I have to present the facts. So the longtime Democratic Party congressperson that was in there won the general election by 60 points. I want to then go to the presidential election in 2016. Colin, if you could put up the numbers between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump in 2016, Cuyahoga County. So Hillary Clinton, here we go. Hillary Clinton beat Trump by 35 points in Cuyahoga County. That's the county that Cleveland is in. So again, very, very Democratic district, 35 points. If you can go to Hillary versus Trump in Summit County, which Akron is part of, Hillary Clinton won by just under, 8 points. So a little less in Summit County, where Akron. The current district, Ohio's 11th district, is Cuyahoga County, which Cleveland is part of, and then Akron, Summit County, which Akron is in. Nina Turner actually won Akron, but lost Cleveland. So then we move to 2020, Biden versus Trump. Biden in Cuyahoga County, if we could show that. Biden won, that's by, I'm not great at math, but I think 32, 30, 62, 34 points. Biden won in Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is part of. Then you go to Summit County, which is Akron. Biden won by 10 points. So the bottom line is, because I know a lot of people, progressives kind of think like, no, it doesn't matter. Run scorched earth against the Democratic Party. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, whether I think she's going to run a different campaign. But this is not a national presidential campaign. So Nina Turner, in the district that she tried to become congresswoman, where again, she only lost by over 4,000 votes. The special election was in August. I mean, if she runs scorched earth against Biden and the Democratic Party, that might excite the national base. It might alienate the actual voters she needs. Some people might not like me saying that. Some people might say, Jordan, you're, a simp. You're a tool for the Democratic Party. I'm just giving you actual context and history of this particular area. Okay. So then I want to also show, just for context, Cori Bush in 2018. Cori Bush in the St. Louis area, that's 2018. Cori Bush in 2018, she lost by, let's see the actual numbers here. Cori Bush lost, hold on one second. She lost by 28,556 votes in her first primary run. So almost 30,000 votes Cori Bush lost to William Lacey Clay, who was part of a political dynasty in St. Louis. 2 years later, she runs in 2020. Cori Bush wins by 4,387 votes. So she went from losing by almost 30,000 votes to 2 years later winning by over 4,000 votes. So I'm giving you that context in terms of Cori Bush versus a long-time incumbent. She goes from nearly losing 30,000 votes to winning over 4,000 votes, and that was just in 2 years. Nina Turner lost, again, different, because Nina Turner did not run in a normal primary schedule. A normal primary schedule, the primary would be maybe April or May. They made the special election in the beginning of August. Again, 16% voter turnout. That doesn't mean Nina Turner ran the perfect campaign. It doesn't mean she didn't make mistakes. We'll get into that. But there is, to me, a chance she could win. She only lost by 4,000 votes, and there was anemic voter turnout. Secondly, you know, I want to be clear, because some people might not understand how this area works. Say, no, if she's running as a Democrat, you know, I'm not voting for her. The Green Party does not have access. The Green Party no longer has access in this area. Movement for a People's Party does not have ballot access in this area. So there are really only two choices. Either she runs as a Democratic Party, she runs in the Democratic Party primary as a Democrat. Okay, that's choice number one, run as a Democrat in the Democratic primary, or forego the Democratic primary and run in the general election in November as an independent. I could tell you, and folks might disagree, but I could tell you, having covered it on the ground, having shown you the numbers I just showed you, the primary election in this area, like many other areas, particularly New York, right? So, for example, Eric Adams, who's currently the New York City mayor, he won the Democratic primary. In New York City, that is the election. Whoever wins the Democratic primary always goes on. I shouldn't say always. Most of the time goes on to win the general election. There are a lot of cities and districts in this country, for better or worse, that whoever wins the Democratic primary or the Republican primary, that's it, because that district or that city is very, very blue or very, very red. So whoever wins the primary goes on to wallop. Breaking news, oh, really? Breaking news, Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer is retiring. So Stephen Breyer retiring, Supreme Court Justice, which will open up a vacancy for President Biden to appoint, hopefully a sane, more progressive. I don't expect Biden to nominate a progressive, but at least while Stephen Breyer, I believe, is 83 or 84, he's retiring, so we could get somebody younger in there. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the point is, in this district, whether you like it or not, and you might not like it, but I'm giving you reality. If your goal, if you have a desire for Nina Turner to actually win the election, if she doesn't run in the Democrat, again, can't run as a Green Party candidate in Ohio, can't run Movement for a People's Party, MPP does not have ballot access in Ohio. So I'm just giving you the realities. Other people might have not told you that. Can't run as a Green Party candidate, can't run MPP. So if she were to forego the Democratic primary and just run as an independent in the general election, I'm telling you, based on having gone there on the ground, based on knowing that district, based on showing you the results of the past, she would lose by a lot more than 4,000 votes. Again, some people might say, well, it doesn't matter. We need to start running independent candidates outside of the two-party duopoly and gain momentum. That's cool. If you would prefer her to run as an independent and definitely lose, I mean, that's she can run as an independent in the general election. I'm just telling you, it is very, very strong chance she would lose. For reference, Tim Canova in Florida's, what district was that? Whatever district Debbie Wasserman Schultz is Congresswoman in, Tim Canova ran in 2016 against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, lost by 14 points. I don't actually think he lost by 14 points. He legitimately was screwed. There was destruction of the paper ballots, if you remember. There was some really big fraud that went on. But on paper, lost by 14 percentage points. He ran in 2018 as an independent. He got 5%. He ran as an independent, got 5%. And Key Roberts, thanks for the super chat. I live in the district. Running as an independent is not an option. Full stop. The Dem Party snubbed her last time. Support her or give up. So the bottom line is there's political realities, and a lot of people don't want to accept it. So some people say, I don't care. I will not vote if she runs as a Democrat. Okay, well, to me, I would ask you, simply put, do you think having Chantel Brown, a rubber stamp for Joe Biden, a rubber stamp for the Democratic Party and the status quo, you really think having Chantel Brown as a congresswoman representing this Cleveland is better than Nina Turner? That doesn't mean you have to agree with Nina Turner on all things. But if you truly believe that having Chantel Brown, a corporatist, and frankly, pretty corrupt from all the appearances, rather than Nina Turner, I just respectfully disagree with you. But I'm just laying it out for you that she could. There's only two options. She runs in the Democratic primary, where again she only lost by a little over 4,000 votes in August. 4,266 votes she lost by. Only a 16% voter turnout. Or she skips that and runs as an independent and probably loses by a lot more. If people just want Nina Turner to run like a vanity campaign as an independent to lose in this very Democratic Party district, okay. I mean, I don't see the point in running a vanity campaign. To me, as frustrated as I am with the Democratic Party, I look more at the candidate. I don't necessarily look if they're running as a D or not. To me, and there was criticisms of Nina Turner last time that, she didn't sound like the same cat. She didn't sound exactly like the same Nina Turner that was on the campaign trail for Bernie Sanders. She wasn't breathing that fire as much against the Democratic Party. She wasn't going after Biden enough. I could tell you, because again, I was actually there. There's a lot of people pontificating about why she lost. I mean, I was there, so I could tell you what I observed. One of the things that really hurt her, and again, she only lost by 4,000 votes. So we're not talking like, again, Colin, if you could show it one more time, Cori Bush in 2018 in her first race, she lost by nearly 30,000 votes. That was in 2018. 2 years later, she won by a little over 4,000 votes. So that's a turnaround for Cori Bush of 32,000 votes in 2 years. So to be clear, Nina Turner definitely has a shot. The primary, instead of being in August, will likely be either in April or May of 2022, so soon. You would assume there's a higher voter turnout in a normal primary schedule. If she wins the primary, she's going to win the general election because, as I just showed you, whoever wins the Democratic primary just wallops the Republican candidate, typically in this area. But to me, I don't have any inside intel, but just kind of reading what happened last time, I don't think Nina Turner is going to go, let's burn down the Democratic Party like some people want to hear from her. I don't think you're going to see that because, again, it's an area that typically likes Democrats and is pro-Democratic Party. But I do think she's going to be a little bit more aggressive just in general against the Democratic Party, definitely against Chantel Brown, who basically it's the same race. Chantel Brown has only been in office for a few months. She hasn't done anything because the Democratic Party hasn't done anything. I would expect a little bit more sharp elbows from Nina Turner. I don't expect her to let's burn down the DNC. Let's burn down the Democratic Party. And if for you, that's a deal breaker and you're not going to support her, I just disagree with that mentality. Call me naive, call me cynical. The point is to win. If you want to live on like a purity island where the candidate just breathes the fire to me, I would advocate for that on a national campaign. I think Bernie Sanders pulled punches in 2016 and 2020 against Hillary Clinton and Biden. I think Bernie Sanders would only go so far. He would go to that line, but never be willing to cross it. If you remember, in 2016, I was there covering the Brooklyn debate between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders, when he was given a layup by whoever the moderator, can you point to a specific example of Hillary Clinton taking donations and those donations, changing her votes or changing what she did? Bernie Sanders just kind of like didn't take him up on that and gave some generic answer. I know his campaign had prepped him with those answers. I knew he knew the answer. The bankruptcy bill, for starters, money she got from Wall Street, she changed from being against the bankruptcy bill as a first lady to being for it. So it's kind of, to me, the progressive movement. I understand a lot of people are deflated, but I think people kind of sometimes have short-term memories. I think sometimes people kind of, because we're rightly frustrated, you see the Squad and others that aren't fighting the way you thought they were going to fight, might be going along to get along. And people maybe tend to project that onto Nina Turner and like, oh, she's going to be exactly the same. I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can tell you is I've been covering Nina Turner for 4 or 5 years. Based on her actions, I don't see any reason to think that Nina Turner is trying to get elected to Congress so that she could just sit there and diplomatically negotiate with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I don't see that. As a state senator and a council person in Cuyahoga County, she was a local council member. She did have a history of making compromise and this and that. But unless she's the president, unless progressives have complete majorities, yeah, there are some times you're going to have to compromise on some things. The difference is, are you basically giving away the farm right out of the bat? Are you preemptively surrendering right out of the bat? I don't think that if your standard for supporting someone, and you could support Nina Turner or not, I mean, it's not my job to support her. I mean, I'm going to cover her. I'll probably go back and cover the election. But if you want to support her. If not, it's not for me to boost her up. That's not my goal. But I'm just giving you the realities. She's not running a national campaign. To me, right now, particularly, I think running a national campaign scorched earth against the Democratic Party, particularly from a potential progressive primary challenger to Biden, or if it's Kamala Harris in 2024, that could actually be successful. But in local districts, I've had discussions with people who say, well, Jordan, how do you know? How do you know that can't work in the local district that traditionally has voted pro-Democrat, overwhelmingly pro-Democrat? How do you know if Nina Turner didn't start running scorched earth against the Democratic Party that might excite non-voters who typically don't come out? Again, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. All I could look at is history. All I could look at is the overwhelming voting history in this area. And it is overwhelmingly, particularly in general elections, supporting the Democratic candidate. And in the primaries, again, not huge voter turnouts, in the primaries tend to support the more establishment candidate. But Colin, if you could show the Jacobin article that I sent you, because it's important to show the specifics of Nina Turner and how she lost in August, but she did make inroads with a lot of communities that Bernie Sanders failed to. If you have this article from Jacobin, but in poor and working class Black districts. So in poor and working class Black districts, Black precincts, there is a gap between the two candidates. This article was comparing Cori Bush's election results and Nina Turner's. In East Cleveland, whose population is 90% Black with a median income of just about $20,000 a year, Turner lost to Brown by less than 3 points. In Cleveland's Ward 9, with a similar demographic profile, Turner won by 4 points. On the whole, Turner won 5 of Cleveland's 9 Black majority wards and lost 4. The ones she lost them all narrowly by less than 2 points. She won the city of Cleveland overall, as well as the Black majority city of Akron. So again, 5 out of 9 Black majority wards, Nina Turner won, and the 4 that she lost, she lost by less than 2 points. Again, this was a special election in the dead of summer in the beginning of August. So even though she lost, if a few things break differently, she didn't lose by much. The key of why she lost, you might ask, well, Jordan, if she won 5 out of the 9 black majority wards, and overall she won the city of Cleveland as well as the black majority city of Akron, then why did she lose? Well, I'll tell you. Hold on. If Turner outperformed Bush among black working class voters, why did she lose while Bush won? In Ohio's 11th district, the key difference came in the more affluent suburbs. In wealthy communities like Pepper Pike, 84% white with a median income of $190,000 a year, Brown beat Turner by over 50 points. That is why Nina Turner lost. She actually won the black working class vote. And again, there was not a huge voter turnout, only 16% voter turnout. But she lost because she got crushed in the affluent white suburbs. Why did she get crushed in the affluent white suburbs? And this goes back to the argument that a lot of viewers, well, not a lot, but a good amount of viewers are going to say, I don't care. She should run scorched earth against the Democratic Party. I could tell you because I was there. So a lot of people telling you Nina Turner lost because she ran as a Democrat or she wasn't scorched earth enough. They were not there. I was. So I could tell you what I saw on the ground. You could not go for 15 minutes watching television before this election without commercials on television hitting Nina Turner for, saying voting for Biden was like a bowl of shit. I'm just telling you. Shontel Brown's campaign hit Nina Turner with that Biden's a bowl of shit hard. You could not drive around Cleveland. There were billboards everywhere around Cleveland with Nina Turner's quote, Biden is like voting for Biden is like a bowl of shit. You guys might not like what I'm telling you, but I'm just telling you the reality that worked. People liked Biden at least in August of last year. Who the hell knows what the mood right now is for Biden? It ain't good nationally. So there might be less support for Biden currently in that area. But in the August special election, I could tell you, no, she wasn't wrong. You're right. She was wrong. She was right that voting for Biden is like a bullshit. I can only tell you that ginned up those wealthy white folk in the suburbs to come out in the dead of August against Nina Turner. They also, it wasn't just hitting her with Biden is a bowl of shit. They also tried to paint her as an anti-Semite. And those affluent white suburbs in right outside of the city of Cleveland, there's a very significant Jewish community. They hit Nina Turner as an anti-Semite, basically spinning comments she made that weren't anti-Israel, but just like basically the same thing Bernie Sanders said nationally. Yeah, I believe in Israel's right to exist, but I also believe like human rights for Palestinians. I also believe the Palestinians should be treated with dignity. They deserve clean water, food, rights, not to live, in basically an open air camp. So that in that area was painted as anti-Semitic, and that did hurt her. Now, I addressed the things that hurt her. First of all, Nina Turner's campaign, they expected the actual special election to be earlier. They expected it to be closer to May or June. And that dictated some of their decisions of when they went on TV and how aggressive they went against Shontel Brown. It came later that it was going to be later in August. Number two, they were up, according to some polls, anywhere from 40 to 50 points at first. So I think they got comfortable in their front runner status and didn't want to do anything, didn't want to go too aggressively against Shontel Brown of the Democratic Party because she was the front runner. I think they anticipated that the Democratic establishment and super PACs were going to come in hard. I think they wrongly underestimated how hard the Democratic establishment was going to come in, how hard the super PACs were going to come in. And they didn't have an answer for it towards the end in those final 2 or 3 weeks when they were getting demolished on TV. I mentioned the billboards that were popping up all throughout Cleveland with Nina Turner's bowl of shit comments. Now, Colin, if we could play the clip. This is right after Nina Turner's defeat. at her, it was supposed to be her victory party, but obviously she lost. I asked Nina Turner about, all the money that came in against you. Let's take a look.
How do progressives combat what you call the evil money for next time? Because you were up considerably, and then you had nearly $2 million came in from out of state. How can a progressive combat that going forward to not be smeared out of the race?
I want progressives to be very resolute, and I want us to keep on running because we are winning. I raised $6 million in this race. I was outperforming every other candidate in this race until that dark money came in, and I've raised more money individually. I think my race is a template for progressives in terms of how we raise that money. We got to get in, earlier. Not necessarily early. This is a special election. We just got to plan a little more. This is not an indictment on our movement. This is an indictment on dark money. Progressives shouldn't feel bad. Because until that evil money came in here, 35 points up, the only way they could have won is for dark money to come in here. We need real campaign finance reform in this country. It is a disservice to the voters to have special dark interests come in here and dictate who gets to win. If we let them win here, they're going to keep doing this kind of stuff all over the country. And so I am more committed to ensuring that that does not happen. So I'm going to work. I can't give it all away tonight, but Jordan, you will know what Sister Turner has in store.
2022 Senate, 2022 Senate. Portman's retiring.
I know Senator Portman is retiring. I'm not ruling out anything, but one thing I will tell you is I am going to work very hard to make sure that this does not happen to progressives, or at least if it happens to progressives, I want to make sure that they have more than a fighting chance to be able to win. Part of it is getting good money in early to help the progressive that's being attacked. That's what it is. There's money used for evil, and they made it very clear from the beginning of this race that it was going to be anybody but Nina, and they meant that. And as everybody can see, 13 candidates in the race, and I'm the only one that gets attacked. The only one. Other things were said too. One candidate in this race had a red box up. One, inviting that money in. So really what I learned, there's several lessons that I learned from this race. One of them is, when you have progressives running, good money has to come in to help them very, very early. I ran a very policy-driven race for a very long time, and I didn't start contrasting records until later in the race. So maybe that's a lesson.
So, that was just in August. So to me, I think what she was basically getting at is, yes, she earned a lot of money. I think she felt, I can't speak for her. I have, by the way, put in a request to interview her. But I think what she was getting at was there wasn't a unified, organized campaign in support of her from the entire progressive movement nationally. I think she was saying we need to compete with the dark money, raising more grassroots money. But I will say, do I think she has a chance to win? Yeah, she only lost by a little over 4,000 votes. The election was in August. It's not easy to get people to come out for an election in August. I could tell you, having covered a lot of elections, most voters in most districts don't even know when a normal primary is scheduled, meaning a normal primary in April or May or June, let alone there's a special election happening, and the media certainly doesn't do a good job of making sure people are aware. It's doable to erase a 4,000 vote deficit. To me, I think Nina Turner and her campaign better have some answers and better be damn well better prepared, because there's going to be a lot of money from the same exact nefarious sources. Democratic majority for Israel, other super PACs coming in to make sure she loses. Will there be as much money and as much focus on Nina Turner in a primary as there was in August when there were no other elections going on? Probably not, because the donors, the special interests, the super PACs, they're going to spread out their money to try and stop other candidates. But because there's going to be more primaries happening, because this is a midterm election year. Nina Turner's race was the only one happening at that time. With that said, her campaign better. It's not just about competing. It's not just about having enough money to compete and to counter those super PAC money. It's about, what is your message? What message are you using to compete with that? So what will Nina Turner's answer be for the ads that are going to come in? They just beat her in August with these ads. What's her answer going to be for, you're not a good Democrat, you're not a loyal Democrat, you crapped on Joe Biden, you called him, voting for him, like a bowl of shit? What's her answer for that? She's going to need one. It hurt her. I'm telling you, it hurt her. I was there. It hurt her. You could not watch TV for 10 minutes without those ads. You could not drive for longer than a mile or two without seeing a billboard with Nina Turner, talking about Biden like this. What's her answer? Is she going to critique Biden with that, but say, listen, that might have been a little too strong, but here are my disagreements with the current president, with Biden and the Democratic Party now. I am a Democrat, but we need to do better. What will be her message? What will be her answer to the corporate attacks and the millions and millions of dollars that are 100% going to come back in there against her on TV, on billboards, on digital? She's going to need an answer. What is going to be her answer? Because the same exact people, the same exact super PACs and wealthy donors that smeared her as an anti-Semite, which worked to bring out all the wealthy white people in the suburbs outside of Cleveland, they're going to do the same exact thing. What's her answer to that? Secondly, what is her plan to go on offense? Because she's going to have defensive answers for those smears. But what is her plan to go on offense against Shontel Brown, who had no real accomplishments? If you paid attention to the race, there was some nefarious things that went on where Shontel Brown, as the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party chairwoman, Cuyahoga County is where Cleveland is part of. Apparently, she was handing out contracts to a business that her romantic partner owned, which Nina Turner, towards the end of the campaign, went aggressively against her on. But Nina Turner's going to have better answers and messaging for the surefire attacks that are going to come against her. That, oh, she's not a real Democrat, she's not loyal, this, that, and the other thing. She's going to have a good answer to counter the surefire smears that she's an anti-Semite. And she's also going to have a plan to get out a lot of the voters that didn't come out, non-voters, the black working class districts that she only lost by 2 points. How does she get those 3 points higher in those districts to win those districts? So she's going to have to kind of thread the needle between ginning up and increasing voter turnout among black working class voters. The district is majority black, by the way. Working class voters, period. Younger voters, and try and neutralize some of that fear mongering and propaganda that was used against her to gin up. Because the only reason she lost, she didn't lose the black working class areas. She got murdered politically in the wealthy white areas. So to me, you guys have a choice. If you it's not for me to tell you to support Nina Turner. If you don't want to support her because she's running as a Democrat, okay. I personally, to me, I don't really see. I think these kind of black or white statements that, oh, the squad isn't doing what we want them to do, so that means Nina Turner will just be the same. Okay, but like that's not how life works. Now you could say I've seen enough. I've supported Bernie. I supported these candidates. They get elected, and they're not doing what they want. They're not doing what I want them to do. They're not fighting hard enough. You could feel that way. I certainly have criticized Bernie. I've certainly criticized the squad. But I also think at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself a basic question. If you consider yourself a progressive, if you consider yourself somebody who wants Medicare for all, public college, free public college, a $20 minimum wage, a $25 minimum wage, to actually do something about the climate inferno we're dealing with, to actually do something about childcare, universal pre-K, the pandemic, ask yourself a just basic question. Do you genuinely believe that having a corporatist like Chantel Brown as the congresswoman, do you genuinely believe that's going to get us closer to those things than having Nina Turner? That doesn't mean like Nina Turner's always going to do exactly what you want, but do you genuinely believe that having Chantel Brown over Nina Turner advances our goals? If you believe that, I just disagree with you. If you believe it doesn't matter, yeah, maybe on paper Nina Turner's better, but Nina will get in there and she'll just be like the rest of them. I just think that's I understand why you're frustrated, but to me, then why bother with anything? Why bother with any of this if it's all hopeless, if they're all going to be corrupt? I don't know. I've been watching and covering Nina Turner for many years. I think she made some mistakes in her campaign. Most candidates do. Even candidates who win, by the way, make mistakes. But to me, it's a pretty clear picture. She only lost by a little over 4,000 votes. The election was in August when it was 16% voter turnout. She had God knows how much money against her. I think it was between $3 and $4 million by the end of it. By the end of it, she was outmatched financially because her campaign had spent a lot of their money earlier. And again, that might be something they look at in terms of when do they spend money? How do they spend money? Do they go harder on TV? Do they go harder on knocking on doors? That's all stuff they're going to have to figure out. But this is a winnable race. Chantel Brown, she wasn't exactly an enthralling candidate. She won because the election was in August. There was a whole lot of propaganda and money against Nina Turner. And I think Nina Turner has a shot. Then you have to look also beyond just this congressional race. Okay. You have to look beyond just this congressional race. At the end of the day, right now, there's not really a deep progressive bench in terms of 2024, in terms of 2028. Who's the progressive bench that we think could nationally run a serious presidential campaign that actually could get as close as Bernie got? Marianne Williamson, there's been talk of her running possibly a primary challenge. She might have a shot at running a competitive primary in 2024. We don't know if Biden's going to run again. We don't know if it will be Kamala Harris. But other than Marianne Williamson, who is like the deep progressive bench, not like the neoliberals that pretend to be progressive. I mean, technically AOC would be of age, would be 35 in 2024. But like, do you think she would have a chance? I don't know. I don't know if she would have a chance in a primary or 2028. So at the end of the day, if Nina Turner were to get elected as a congresswoman, that adds to the bench. A congressperson has a significantly greater chance in terms of being competitive if you're already in there, in terms of running a primary challenge in 2024 or looking ahead to 2028. So, of course, you got to focus on her getting elected first. But in terms of the progressive movement, Nina Turner getting into Congress would certainly help broaden that bench in terms of whether it's primary candidates in 2024 or looking ahead to 2028. But to me, I just look at it very simply. Again, she can't run Green Party. She can't run as a movement for a People's Party. They don't have access in Ohio. She either runs as a Democrat in the Democratic primary and has a chance, or she runs as an independent in the general election and loses by, I don't know, 30 to 40 points. If you'd prefer her to run as an independent in the general election, where talk to people in this district, look at the results, she would not have a chance of winning. Okay, then okay. But if you answer the question that I asked, do you think for the progressive movement, it's better for our goals to have Chantel Brown rather than Nina Turner? I just disagree with that. And that doesn't mean you have to love Nina Turner. That doesn't mean you can't have disagreements. That doesn't mean you hope she'll run a scorched earth campaign. She's not perfect. I'm not here to idolize politicians. I would certainly think for the progressive movement, it is better to have Nina Turner than Chantel Brown. So we'll see what happens. She just announced today that she's running. I don't know exactly when the primary will be, but it will not be in August of this year. And there's a lot of things remain to be seen. I would expect her to be a little bit more aggressive towards the Democratic Party than you saw her in August. I don't think she's going to be scorched earth, burn down the DNC. There's always going to be people that want her to be like that. And I don't think she's going to be like that because, again, it's a very pro-Democratic Party district. With that said, I think you're probably going to get sharper elbows. I think you're probably going to get more criticism of the National Democratic Party and Biden. I think it's going to be done in a way that I want to make the Democratic Party better, build it up, not burn it down, which, again, a lot of people won't like. So we'll see. Let me read some super chats. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Bug reason Nina lost is the same reason Walton lost in Buffalo, that the oligarchs rallied their donors from the Republicans. Nina ran out of money. That is true. That's a good point. There was a lot of Republican support for Shontel Brown. There was a lot of behind the scenes money to try and get Republican voters to go vote in the primary. And there was a lot of Republicans money going in, weaved into super PACs. So that's a really good point for sure. K-Berts, $4.99. I live in the district. Running independent is not an option. Full stop. The Dem party snubbed her last time. Support her or give up. I mean, technically it's an option. She could. It's not an option if the goal is to win. That I 100% agree with. Humanity, $9.99. Thanks for all your campaign miles you've put in, Jordan. Seeing in person on the ground experience makes a difference. Yeah, thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I got to say, not that you have to go on the ground and report to have an opinion, but I do find it interesting when people who this damn cord. I do find it always interesting when people who have not gone to the area, who were not there, who did not talk to voters. I do find it interesting when hosts who weren't on the ground and didn't actually see up close what happened, because you really get more of a up close perspective for why somebody lost, why somebody won, what were some of the local obstacles that might have not been reported in the media. I do find it interesting when not that they, of course you could have an opinion without going, but I do find it interesting when people push narratives of why somebody like Nina Turner lost in August when they weren't there, and they don't provide for their audience the context of what is the voting history in this area, which is overwhelmingly Democrat. That's just the truth. Bin 31, 1999. Thank you. Kick-ass Nina. I'll be supporting your campaign again. Thank you, Jordan, for all you do. Stop trying to convince the miserables, Jay. It could be sunny and they'll find a raindrop. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I was just pointing out to a lot of folks who say, no, if she's running as a Democrat, I don't care. It doesn't matter what the context is. If they run as a Democrat, I'm done. Okay. That's your choice, but she's got to attract the voters in this area. So she's not running to win YouTube. She's not running to win a national election. She has to convince more voters to come out for her in this Cleveland, Akron area than for Shontel Brown. That's ultimately what it comes down to, folks. That's ultimately what it comes down to. Joseph McDermott, $2. If Nina owned that comment, she would have cred now. I don't know which comment. Oh, you're talking about the bowl of shit? I mean, that's definitely your right to think that. I could only tell you based on having been there, driving, seeing all these billboards that highlighted her bowl of shit comment, seeing all the TV ads that were just swarming television about the bowl of shit comment, talking to voters. There's a lot of voters who like Nina Turner, but that comment and just the suffocating messaging they got convinced them to vote for Shontel Brown, because they were voters. Oh, she's divisive. She won't be a team player, this and that. So it's kind of threading a needle. It might appeal to hardcore progressive voters who hate the Democratic Party at this point. But again, you have to decide, do you want her to run a campaign that is closer to how you feel and what you think about the Democratic Party, or do you want her to run a campaign that's actually going to win? And I know a lot of people think, well, Jordan, then she's lying and she's not being true to herself. Okay, all I can tell you is most politics are local. So you do have to tweak your... I said Bernie should have tweaked his message. Bernie should have tweaked his message during the campaign. He should have said to Hillary and to Biden, no. They're not pragmatic. They're radical. These aren't pragmatic policies. These are radical policies. They're out of step with the majority of the country. I think when Bernie was on 60 Minutes, remember, he had just won Nevada. He was on the verge of clinching the Democratic nomination. I think when he was on 60 Minutes, and I can tell you people in his campaign agree with me, when he was asked about Fidel Castro and Cuba and all that, when he was on the verge of winning the Democratic Party, he should have said to Anderson Cooper, I'm not running for president of Cuba. I don't really see how that's relevant. I want to talk to your viewers about why my policies, they're not radical. I want to talk to your viewers, some of them who might be older viewers, about why a lot of the things you've been told about me aren't true. He should have pivoted the hell away from Cuba. And to some progressive voters, that they might have not liked that. But the truth is, what came out of that 60 Minutes interview? 4 or 5 days of stoking, a Cold War and anti-Cuba and, jiggering up that Bernie's pro Fidel Castro. Well, he was right in the things he said on 60 Minutes, but it hurt him. So again, you got to make decisions politically that you have to tweak your message sometimes to get elected. Now, once elected, it's up to us to hold these people accountable to do what they say they're going to do. I would tell you, if you're frustrated with the squad, if you're frustrated with Bernie, they're not fighting hard enough in your eyes, that's fair. I've criticized them all. Whether you want to just project that onto Nina Turner and just decide she's going to be the same exact way, I don't think that's a good perspective to have. I think that's just kind of like black or white thinking. I think you should judge Nina Turner on the merits, on what she has done in the progressive movement, on her record, on her consistency. She's running on Medicare for all again. But, it's up to you how you view things. Fly Chomper Fly, $5. Local media mostly blacked out Nina. Many people had no idea Bernie and Dr. West were in town. She has to have enough money to counter that. Local media is always, I can tell you because I've covered a lot of campaigns, local media is always going to black out the progressive candidate. They're always going to prop up the corporate candidate. And they are always going to cover the campaign in a way that either indirectly or directly attacks the independent candidate, the progressive candidate. So she's not going to get much love from the media. That's why it's very important. If the progressive movement wants Nina Turner to win, you could say, I'm taking my ball and going home because she's running as a Democrat. You could do that. I'm not telling you what to do. That's totally your right if you don't want to support her. But if you want her to win, the progressive movement's going to need to come together. She's going to have to raise money, grassroots money. Independent media is going to have to counter the corporate media propaganda against her. So it really comes down to what people want. I think Nina Turner could win this race. A little over 4,000 votes is not a wide margin, is not a huge margin that she lost by. So to me, I think she could win this race without a doubt. Without a doubt. Let me read. Hold on. Members call promo, please. Before I go, I want to remind you tomorrow night. So Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. We're having our Status Coup members call. This will be through Zoom. It's a lot of fun. We do it once a month with Status Coup members. By the way, this applies to patrons too. So if you're a Status Coup member or patron, you'll get the link through Zoom to join our members call. It's a lot of fun. We usually go for about an hour or two, answer your questions, comments. I usually share TMI behind the scenes stuff that I don't usually share to the general audience. So definitely sign up, statuscoup.com/join for $5 a month. You get access to our monthly members call, access to our Discord channel, and other behind the scenes videos that we post just for members. So I hope over the last week, since I broke the most recent Flint water cover-up story, I broke that in The Guardian, we've gotten over 100 new members. So over 100 new paid signups between membership and Patreon. That is awesome because straight up, the way that we continue to cover elections like Nina Turner on the ground, I plan on going back to Cleveland to cover the campaign on the ground. The way we keep covering the Flint water cover-up on the ground, I've been to Flint nearly 20 times. the way we keep covering these worker strikes that are popping up all over the country, union drives that are popping up all over the country, the only way we could fund it is through you. We take no money from the big banks, the fossil fuckers, Big Pharma, Silicon Valley, the remaining Koch brother, major Democratic Party donors. We don't have any of their money. We're funded through you. So if it's within your means, sign up today, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for $5 a month. We have higher levels too, and you'll get the video link tomorrow to join the call at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Thank you so much for watching. I will actually have an interview with human rights attorney Stephen Donziger a little bit later at 6 o'clock Eastern. I interviewed Stephen Donziger yesterday. There's still breaking news developing in his fight to be freed. He has been under house arrest. Between house arrest and actual imprisonment, he has been detained for over 900 days. Again, most of that house arrest, he was in federal prison for about a month and a half, released about a month ago, and now carrying out the rest of his sentence at his home. So I interviewed him yesterday. There's significant smoke and corruption going on as we speak pertaining to his case. Remember, this is a human rights attorney that won a historic $9.5 billion settlement against Chevron. And Chevron, instead of paying the settlement, Chevron decided to go on a corporate crusade for millions of dollars against the human rights attorney. So we'll have that for you a little bit later at 6 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for watching this kind of breaking news live stream on Nina Turner announcing her second run for Congress. We'll see you later with my interview with Stephen Donziger. Take care.